Okay, and welcome back to another Westman Regional Soccer Association video. I'm the technical director, Jesse Rozier, and I have board member Glen McNabb from Minnedosa joining me. Thanks for joining us, Glen.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm going to turn it over to you right away, Glen, and you can actually explain a little bit what you're making me do today.
So Jesse had asked if I would be involved in one of his interviews, and after watching a few, I thought it would be a good idea if we turned the tables on Jesse and I asked him the questions and put him in the hot seat.
Okay, well, let's get started.
So Jesse, can you tell us about your background in soccer as a young athlete? When did you start and where did you play?
Yeah, so I started, I think I was about 8 years old with just Brandon Youth Soccer in Brandon here, and did that for a few years. At that time, my dad was coaching me, so at that time he started a bit more of a travel team through Brandon Youth Soccer. For lack of a better term, we'll use travel team. And we attended tournaments throughout the year. We did that for a few years, exhibition games, tournaments. And then at under 13, we joined the Winnipeg Youth Soccer League. Around that time, I was added to the provincial program as well. We played 1 year of the second division in the Winnipeg League. We won it. And then the next year, we went to the top division, Premier 1, and played that from U14 to about U17. Around that U14 time, I was added to the regional training center, which is now like the residency Whitecaps program, and it was through kind of the Canada Soccer and the national team, bit of a national team development program. And yeah, under 14, we won. Our team from Westman here won the provincial championship. So we're still the first or the only youth team from outside of Winnipeg to win the provincial championship for soccer. So and then continued playing the youth soccer with the team from our region, but in the Winnipeg League until youth soccer was done for us at 17 or 18, and then played with the PDL, which is now the USL2 WRSA Winnipeg, which has been rebranded this year as FC Manitoba, I believe. And then played, trained with Leeds United in England and trained with PSV Eindhoven in Netherlands.
So what are some of the other opportunities that soccer has afforded you along the way?
I think travel's been a big one for me. Winning the provincial championship, we attend the club national championship. So it what that entails is the winner of each provincial championship meets in a different spot each year in a host city and plays. And ours was in Moncton, New Brunswick. So that was pretty special. It was pretty cold. I think it was held in like October, the national championship, but that was a special opportunity. Being part of the provincial program, we play in national championships against other provincial teams, against other provincial programs. So, we went to Quebec for that, Edmonton, many different trips. And then obviously the training with Leeds United in England, which is a massive storied club. And then PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands, which, is a team that competes in the Europa League or Champions League fairly consistently, and just two massive clubs in European soccer. So it's quite the experience to live and breathe that when I was there.
You make mention of your dad. Who are some of the other or some of the biggest influences in your life with regard to soccer, and why would they be?
I think overall throughout the whole life, my whole life both my parents have been very supportive. My family, my grandparents, siblings, the unwavering support and belief in me there was incredible, and it made even the really difficult times as an athlete a little easier. So, and a big example of that is when I was 17, 18 years old and getting scholarship offers for soccer, and getting, junior hockey offers to go play junior hockey as well. It was, and I ended up choosing neither. I was kind of fell out of love with playing a little bit both sports at the time. I was after a very busy few years playing AAA midget hockey and playing in the Winnipeg League for soccer. And I don't know if they really liked my decision in terms of not picking either, but they always supported and said it was my choice. And just the support there was always incredible. In terms of the sport specific, I think the first one that comes to mind in that time and at a young age was Terry Morris. He coached me in hockey at about 8 years old and was the manager for our soccer team from about 9 years old till about 18 years old. So, Terry just had this, innate belief in me, and I've never experienced anything like that from anyone else, where obviously others have believed in me in that, but it was just absolutely unwavering, and it there was nothing that would change his mind that I couldn't or do anything or accomplish anything. So that really stuck with me for a long time and still does to this day. And then moving into, Laurie McIver, who is a technical director at FC Northwest in Winnipeg still. He got me into the provincial program. I trained a lot with him. He got me into coaching when I was 12, 13 years old, helping him run camps and different clinics in the region here. And then Larry Ladebrook, who was a provincial team coach, had left a big mark on me too. I really liked playing with Larry, and again, just had this belief in me at a kid from Brandon at 14 years old who captained his provincial team, and we're playing in Quebec against Ontario and Quebec and different, some of the best players in the country for our age. And he's got me in an important spot as captain, and just the belief he held in me as well was pretty incredible. I know I'm missing some, but it's a lot to name. And I think that's a critical piece for us coaches to remember in the region is I really believe players choose their mentors and the people they are looking up to, and it changes, and we go through phases of kind of what we're looking for, what we need in our lives to be successful as youth or as athletes or as players and students, whatever the case is, and we find people that can help us do that and turn them into our mentors. And it's kind of a funny concept to think of, but I've just had so many that have contributed. And again, that's the critical part for coaches in our region and everywhere to remember is we might only have players for a year or 2 years or part of a season, but we can really impact them in terms of what they need today and what they need now. And we all just play a little tiny role in a player or a student or a kid's journey. And I think if we can maximize the effect we have, then the players are going to be better off when they go to a new coach or a new teacher or a new tutor or whatever that case is.
So how did your early years in soccer lead to your position as a technical director? And what skills did you acquire along the way that led to your success?
I think in terms of technical, I was very fortunate to have access to the coaching I did. Whether it was Laurie McIver, who's coached in the old pro league they had in Canada before the CPL relaunched last year. Larry Ladebrook, who's coached a ton. I've had different coaches that in the provincial program that coach U Sport teams. Stuart Neely was another big one for me, who ran the regional training center when I was in it. That program had maybe 15, 20 kids from the ages of 13 to 18 in it in the whole province, and he ran that. And having access, Stuart now works. He was the academy director for the boys programming at Toronto FC in the MLS. He now works for Canada Soccer. Just having those guys around. Rob Gale's another one who coaches Valor FC now and coaching the national team setup for a long time. Just having those guys around and being able to impact you as a coach, as a player, it just teaches you things and gives you coaching points. And and you really learn the game in a different way, whether it's position specific and roles you need to do, whether it's the proper technique, all those kinds of things that again play a little role in molding you and shaping you and teaching you what you know. So I think just having access to that kind of coaching, which is very, very rare even still for players from our region, and then off the field, just again, being in those environments really gives you an idea of what the players need and what they need at any specific age or time, and putting that into practice and creating the programming or different things such as that has just really helped now with helping coaches and teaching coaches and working with players.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your role and your responsibilities as the technical director of the Westman Regional Soccer Association?
Yeah, so as the technical director, obviously I'm responsible for the technical programming and the technical side in the region for the soccer. What that consists of is, setting up the programming. So when I first joined a couple of years ago when our association was first formed, I came in and there's under 4, so 3 4-year-olds playing two games a week for 8 weeks. So you got 5 or 6 players on the field. You got maybe 1 or 2 players in total that are actually touching the ball because the other ones can't get it from them. When they do that till they're 12 years old, and then we wonder why there's a big drop off, and it's because kids haven't really enjoyed the game. They haven't learned to love the ball and become more competent with the ball, and they start dropping out because it's not really fun. And a big part of fun is knowing you can do it. When I know I can do it and I'm competent at it, of course it's going to be a bit more fun. So setting the programming so we can ensure programming is long-term player development compliant. Looking after the coach education, the referee education, the player pathway, setting up different pathways and opportunities for to continue to expand the knowledge of coaches. Referees is a big one we'll be looking at in the next couple of years. And then continuing to give programming opportunities that are appropriate to the player so they can continue to learn and develop, and so that they do and are competent and do enjoy the game, so that when they get to 13 they can make a educated decision on do I really want to play, do I really like it, I'm competent enough, but do I really like it? And then they can for themselves decide if they want to keep playing. And yeah.
So what do you find to be the most rewarding and the most enjoyable parts of your job?
The kids, obviously. I really enjoy working with the coaches as well, and I think for me it's part of it's because it's an easier way to affect more players. So when we're training coaches and working with coaches, but I think it always comes back to the player, and I think it always has to come back to the player. It's frustrating for me that an opportunity that I was given or took an opportunity that I took a while ago, 10, 15 years ago, is still not really available to all players now. And if it is, if they do want it, or if it maybe is, they maybe weren't prepared for the opportunity because they didn't have the fundamental skills required that they missed out on from 8 to 12 years old, or whatever that case is. So really working with the programming to set it up for the kids so that the kids can choose and do whatever they want. And that could be community stream and then women's league. That could be Westman FC and then university programming. But I think we need to equip the players with all the tools required so that they can choose their journey.
So having said that, then what is the major goal of the Westman Regional Soccer Association, and how would you plan to achieve that goal?
I think kind of broadly growing the numbers at the older ages. And again, it comes back to, I think we're going to see it in 3-4 years with the current 7-8-year-olds. We've had them slowly start the programming the last 2 years that we're slowly implementing for each age group, and seeing where they're at in 3 or 4 years and seeing how many of them play under 12 and then how many go to play under 13, under 14. And I think that's going to be a big measure is, can we grow the numbers, especially in the older age group? And all that for me means is, you know, we have fairly good numbers in the younger ones, and it'll just continue to grow if parents see it as a legitimate opportunity for my kid to play a sport and enjoy the sport for their youth career. And I think how we can measure that is again, how many are continuing to register in the older age groups. And one thing we really need to do is close the gap between the Westman FC and the community stream programming. So again, it's improving, and we've seen it improve for, the summer games age that is U12, U13 this year, that hopefully gets an opportunity if it's safe to attend the summer games in Dauphin in August through Sport Manitoba. But we've been working with that group over the last year and a half or a couple of years or so, and giving them the consistent programming, giving them consistent competitive games. It's a fairly competitive age group, especially in the boys for U12 for that birth year, and the girls have really improved the last year and a half as well. And giving them those competitive games, the competitive league, the league where they're challenged, the sessions where they're challenged with the session plans, giving them all that, bonds them and really has them start to enjoy the game. And we've seen a massive, massive improvement in those two groups. So, continuing to provide that, but closing the gap with the Westman FC. Right now we have a U15 Westman FC girls team as one of our teams that plays in the Premier 1 division in Winnipeg. Which, there hasn't been a team that's successfully done that for quite a while. And right now their issue is numbers. They're getting to an age where girls are playing other sports too. And, if there's a few injuries, they're really tight for numbers. And the league they play in is the top one in the province, and it's very competitive, and it's very high paced, and it's very easy to, to pick up a knock one game and not be able to finish it. And just little things like that where, obviously it's safe and that kind of stuff, but it's just a high-paced game. And the issue we're having there is we're finding it really difficult to call guest players up, or because the players just aren't near the level that they need to be for that kind of league. So I think as we continue to do these things in the community stream, it'll continue to grow, the level of the league, and people will start to enjoy it a little bit more.
So having said that, what would you say would be the greatest accomplishment of your job as the technical director thus far, and what has led to your success?
I think the best part's still yet to come. It's been a long couple of years, and a lot of people have put in a lot of work, and a lot of volunteers have put in a lot of work to drive some of these original changes we're bringing in. But I've spent quite a bit of time on non-technical things, and it's just the reality of an association that's brand new with one staff, so that looks after a number of communities. So I think we're really getting to a point where we can start to impact the technical side, and I'm really excited to see where we can go with that. I think we'll see it in 3-4 years, like I mentioned, with some of the current U7-8s. They have a strong age group that really kind of bought in last year to some of the programming changes, and just a group as a whole that had a few really good soccer people in the group, and some just that really wanted to help, that maybe didn't know the game, and they really drove the changes in those age groups and really embraced it, and we're really starting to see it in the kids. So I think as we continue to modify the programming, and one thing we always said from the start is, in order to even impact the technical programming of the kids, we really need to offer quality programming first, and that's the quality foundational programming that has the good communication, good organization. That's something that was lacking in soccer a few years ago, and it's gotten a ton better, especially in the last year. It's gotten a ton better, and now people are starting to trust again in the soccer community in Westman. And I think when people can start to do that, and then we'll really impact the players, because then obviously they'll have been communicated with and be prepared for the season and those kinds of things, but parents will be more likely to sign up again. And we've seen that in obviously we had to cancel this spring tentatively, but the numbers were starting to grow again. So even with the uncertainty of everything going on right now. So we're really looking forward to, now that we've started to establish that, and we will continue to do so, really put a stamp on the technical programming and really be able to measure that. And so I think, that's kind of why the best is yet to come.
Okay, Jesse, well, I want to thank you for allowing us to turn the tables and put you in the hot seat for a little bit here. And hopefully we can get out on the pitch real soon. And thanks for answering our questions today.
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for taking the time.